We have Jared Frayer on the line right here, but before we get to talking with him, just a little bit about Jared so you guys can get to know him a little bit. He was a 3-time state champ, 2-time All-American for the University of Oklahoma, and our 2012 Olympian. He took second in 2010 in the World Team Trials, losing to Brent Metcalf. Also, nowhere to be found in 2011, but in 2012, Jared came back to beat, guess who? Brent Metcalf in the Olympic trial finals to become our 66-kilogram, 145.5-pound Olympian. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jared Frayer.
Hey, Dan. Good to be with you.
Thanks, Jared. So a little bit, everyone knows about the IOC dropping wrestling and this and that. What were your initial feelings when you got the news?
I think everyone was a little bit stunned. I mean, I remember waking up, and I think I saw it on Twitter about 6 in the morning, and I think we were all kind of taken aback. I don't know if we took it for granted. Well, I think we actually did take it for granted, but but it was kind of came out of left field, and so it was a surprise to everybody, and man, it was real kind of opened everybody's eyes, I think, real quick.
Do you have any comments about how FILA took us for granted for having the oldest sport, kind of the foundation of the Olympics, and then kind of giving us the kaput and to get us out of there?
Yeah, well, wrestling internationally for over a decade, going overseas and kind of seeing the way FILA was run, and at the head of FILA, and just at every major international tournament, it was obvious that something wasn't right at the top, and and obviously things weren't being done to provide the right future for the sport, and the IOC. They're a smart group of people that if they decide that we're not doing something right, then they're going to chop our legs out from under us. So yeah, you can see it, and if we really looked at it and didn't take it for granted, then we're crazy because it was going on from the top down, and I think that opened everybody's eyes up, and the switch needed to be made, and it was made. So that's exciting news for the sport at that level.
Talk a little bit about your career and what it has done personally for you, because every wrestler has their own story.
Yeah, it's I think I grew up in Florida, so wrestling wasn't the biggest deal. So you really had to travel and do things kind of year round to catch up with kind of the rest of the country, and I knew that I wanted to take it past the high school level, and my dad was actually my high school coach, and so I knew I'd have to leave the state to wrestle without any schools down there to supporting it at the collegiate level. So, took my trips, and University of Oklahoma was kind of the place that I felt most at home, and came up here, and with Florida being, and this is what I guess the IOC decision and that type of stuff with Olympic wrestling. I grew up just with freestyle wrestling. I didn't wrestle my first collegiate match until I was a freshman in high school, and so freestyle was always kind of my thing, and I don't know if I had the best collegiate career because of it. I don't know, because I felt like I could always fall back on it or whatnot, but I didn't achieve the goals that I set for myself in college, and so just moving on to the international scene was something that I knew that was something I wanted to do, and a long career of a lot of second places and third places and just near misses, and finally in the end, I was able to break through and accomplish a goal that I set for myself a long time ago.
When you beat Brent Metcalf in the final match, the best 2 out of 3, you laid on your back and were flailing around like a little kid in a candy store. Explain what was going through your head when you heard that final whistle go off, knowing that you were the Olympian for the United States.
It was definitely surreal because with the rules the way they were, I knew I was winning. I knew I could get for 1 point, and it being in Carver Hawkeye Arena, I think everybody knowing that last point scored, he was usually the winner. But I knew I had that 2-pointer in my back pocket, and the whole place kind of erupted once Brent got that last takedown. But I knew, inside that I had won. So it was kind of surreal because they were all cheering, thinking that Metcalf had won, and I knew deep down that there was about 7 people in the stands that knew that I had won. So it was pretty awesome. It was a long journey, long road. I talk about, it was over a year ago, but I think it was yesterday. Just an exciting time, a culmination of a lot of events throughout my life, and to have my family and closest friends in the stands. Was pretty awesome deal.
You are now currently assistant coach at the University of Oklahoma, your alma mater. What can you tell the youth today about standing up and being heard? Because the United States has over 2 million wrestlers, and we're doing our darndest to keep wrestling in the 2020 games and further games.
Yeah, I think what we're making ourselves heard, not only in the United States but throughout the world. Obviously, with the recent decision, including us into the top 3. Moving into September to try and be one of the sports brought back in is a huge statement. Not only the heads of wrestling are doing their job, but also the people at the grassroots. All the Twitter stuff, all the polls, all the following that people are giving throughout the world is what's making the difference. Not only the heads of all the countries, the wrestling leaders doing their parts. But every person that has any concept of the sport or has any connection with the sport is doing their job. We got to continue to do that. We can't have a letdown after making it to the top 3. We got to finish it out right, and this is when wrestlers are at their best, when it gets down to the nitty gritty and the third period, and we need to push and make it happen in the end.
Speaking of Twitter, Jared has a Twitter handle at AirFrayer. How did you come up with that name?
It's always kind of been I've always kind of been the guy that went big, and I don't know, it just kind of fit. I didn't have Twitter until after the trials, and it was kind of like something that everybody was supposed to do, and just kind of fit in place, and I kind of ran with it. I was able to keep a lot of people informed on kind of on a daily basis on what was going on over in London and the different places throughout the country that we were training. So it was AirFrayer just seemed to rhyme, and I had that all through college. I did a lot of throwing, and made sense.
The thing that, in my opinion, made you synopsis was that big 5-point throw. It beat the streets in the middle of New York City against a Russian. Tell me how you felt when you hit that 5-point throw, especially against a Russian.
It was definitely one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. I mean, especially, not only was it against a Russian and for a great cause, but, I mean, in the middle of Times Square. I mean, there's not many people that are going to be able to say that. And I just do, it was a position that I probably had done a couple of times in practice, but I knew that, if I did it, it's tough to stop. And the way he was pushing on me, and, I think in one of the videos you hear Kyle Dake yelling, circle, circle, and I knew that it was about time to go over the top, and just cool. A very, very confident position for me, and when that is just, storybook. I couldn't have, luckily I came to the third period and ended up winning the match, but I lost that next period. But after that 5, it was pretty exciting. We just lost a couple matches, and Seabird had won, and I knew that it was kind of picked up the squad a little bit, so that was pretty awesome.
It was just an amazing, amazing event. You're probably one of the few guys that I know has pinned a Russian and 5'd a Russian. You pinned a Russian in the World Championships in 2012 as well, and that's something amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely, it wasn't number one, but all those Russians are so close to each other. And yeah, come to find out, it was actually the same guy in the World Cup against the Russians for third. He won the first period, and then I caught him and pinned him, and then they came over for that beat the streets about the same guy, and maybe he just wanted a little payback, but he got some frequent flyer miles.
There you go. Also, FILA has changed the ruling in how points are scored. How do you feel that's going to make the average viewer who doesn't know much about wrestling make it that much easier to follow?
Man, I was just in Akron for the universities and FILA cadet national championships, and man, it was pretty awesome seeing some of those scoreboards. It really brings the wrestling almost at the American level. I guess it brings it closer to folk style, which is huge. The scoring is very similar. Without the one escape. Just a few points on the board. I mean, guys aren't afraid. I think the biggest difference is that there's one continuous time limit. These guys, some of the best guys in the world, aren't scared to make an attempt early in the match because, 1 minute later the period could be over and they lose that period. So there's a lot more action early, and just great stuff. Great stuff to see. I saw a match that was like 29-27 last weekend, and just scores off the charts, which is great to see, and to see matches in the finals against guys like Andrew Howe and Storley from Minnesota, who was an accomplished guy himself. Scoring 16 and 17 points in a finals match against two guys that are really stingy guys. That's good stuff to see. It only helps the sport.
With everything that's been going on, all the new changes, all the big events, what can people do to stand up and let be heard? Because a lot of emails that I've been getting, I'm just one person. What can I do to make a change?
Seeing, that you see a lot of the Save Olympic Wrestling shirts and that type of stuff. I mean, the little things like that. I don't know how much the money is, but, as far as where the money's going, but being able to wear a T-shirt and bring some awareness to what's going on. I think that the Save Olympic Wrestling motto has been heard, and we're going to continue to build on that. And then just the little things, following FILA Wrestling. I know, they're using that in the courts that are going to define who gets back to the games. And, they're looking at stuff. They're looking at the polls. They're looking at the, all the House representatives throughout the country passing bills to save Olympic wrestling. That stuff is being seen, and the more exposure the sport gets, the better it's going to be. And just because you're one person doesn't mean that you're not doing everything that you can, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, writing letters to the IOC or to your congressman. Any little thing helps, and the more we can bring awareness to what's going on, and it's huge. And we got a pretty good task ahead of us, but I really think that wrestling's in a good place, and we might have needed this. We might have needed a little slap in the face to wake us up and hopefully solidify our place for the rest of history of the Olympics.
Surely wasn't a pleasant slap in the face, I'll tell you that much.
More like a kicking, you know what?
All right, Jared Frayer, one of his sponsors is Cradle Gear, and he has provided a couple of great giveaways. Jared, what trivia question that you sent me do you want to talk about or tell these folks? Be the 5th and 10th person to email me the correct answer to this question provided by Jared.
Yeah, you stumped me on this, but I came up with what former Olympian did I pin to win the junior national title in 1997?
All right, the question is, which former Olympian did Jared Frayer pin in the junior national finals? Be the 5th and 10th person to email me, and you'll win a signed pair of AirFrayer Cradle Gear shorts. We're going to go to the emails. A lot of people have been asking this question. Are you done wrestling and competing internationally?
Well, I didn't leave my shoes on the mat. But, I think, I want to say that I'm done. I mean, it went out a little bittersweet, not the way I'd wanted, and there's talk of, changes to different weight classes and that type of stuff. I still can wrestle, and we're pretty excited to have guys like Kenneth Maple and Andrew Howe on our collegiate team, and if I'm working out with them every day, and I feel like I still got that urge in my gut to compete, then I'll throw my hat in the ring again. But that's what we're asking right now. I'm done. I won't be wrestling the trials in 3 weeks, that's for sure. But I'm healthy. I had a little shoulder surgery after the Olympics, and I'm just back to where I'm feeling almost 100%. So I'll never say never. That's for sure. Coach Cody never lets me say never.
Also, another coach email.